Like me.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's the Stokastic.com NFL First Look Show. I'm Dave Loughran and Lafayette_D on the Twitters. Forgive me if my energy's lacking today. Did not sleep well. Nathaniel Hackett haunted my dreams. Asshole. I'm here with Ben Rasa, though, at JazzRaz DFS. Dude, I'm telling you, and happy to have you guys with us, as always, to kick off week 2. We got a really fun slate. I'm telling you, man, I don't remember. And I'm not saying this is not, maybe it is recency bias. Maybe it's hyperbole. I don't remember a game being coached so poorly. I know it was his first game, but that final drive is one of the poorest clock management, game management, decision-making drives as far as a coach goes, I think that in my 35 years of being on this earth, I've ever seen. Am I wrong?
I didn't feel good to begin with this week, and that made it just worse.
You were right.
I
mean, 2 goal line fumbles, dude.
Well, all right, let's start. We'll take it one by one.
Yeah. Let's go step by step, and then we'll get into everything for week 2, but I'm sure many people are on the same page as us. So go ahead.
So step 1, and I hear this in college all the time. It's like, oh, well, they don't operate besides the shotgun. So like they can't do that. If your quarterback makes hundreds of millions of dollars, I would hope that he could learn how to take snaps under center in rare instances where he just needs to take the ball and stick it over the goal line like Tom Brady and Drew Brees do every time with 100% probability rate. But they can't operate without the shotgun. So they have to do that. That's step 1. So if you want to take the double fumbles, go ahead. I mean, what are we doing here?
I mean, first, yeah. So they're lining up in shotgun, like you said, on every goal line attempt, right?
They have to because they don't operate under center.
Yeah, right. You're telling me you haven't run any formations where in goal to go, literally at the goal line. This wasn't like 5 yards out on both of these, Ben. The Melvin Gordon one was from the 1.
How that's a reasonable excuse for like, as if they have all these other things. Your sole goal in life should be to learn how to do that if you can't do that.
Yeah. And then you've got people that are like, well, no, the field goal made sense. Here's your percentages. Here's the probability. First of all, you nailed it. You just paid Russell Wilson a shit ton of money. Okay. Could you imagine Andy Reid not going for it with Patrick Mahomes there? Could you imagine Matt LaFleur not going for it with Aaron Rodgers there? Or Brandon Staley not going in for Justin Herbert there? But that's, to me, not the worst part. The worst part isn't that you kick the 64-yard field goal attempt to win the game with a quarterback making a ton of money. Dude, the biggest part for me, they got the ball back with 4 minutes to go. And he ran the clock down from like 1:13 to 22nd on one play, and he had 3 timeouts left. He had all of his timeouts. Okay. So you're talking about 4 minutes. Do you not think at any point you would go, all right, let's put ourselves in a position with 4 minutes to go that if we don't score on this drive, because we still have 3 timeouts, we get the ball back. You know what I mean? Instead, he's arguing with the refs about the time when there's 15 seconds left on the clock, and this guy's calling timeouts after they turn it over on downs.
That was a nice touch. The timeouts during the kneel downs. Again, like obviously going for the field goal is wrong, but when you kick it with like 1:30 left, if you miss, they're going to run it 3 times into the line. And knowing Pete Carroll, it wasn't like he was calling a gem of a game. That's neither here nor there. Like, you're going to use your 3 timeouts. You'll get the ball back about 1 minute left, no timeouts with Russell Wilson. You have still equity to win the game. The other hilarious thing, Brandon McManus, not that it's his fault that he missed. The guy's kicked in thin air his whole career before this. How many 64-yard field goals does he have on his resume? That would be 0, obviously. Like, it's not like, oh, it's just, Chad already said this. If you got Justin Tucker, I still wouldn't do it, but it's like, okay, this guy's proven he can make those. Why would you think that would work? Never.
And the problem is, did he let it get down to 20 seconds to begin with, right?
And then they called timeout.
Yeah.
To ensure that if he misses, it's over.
And Pete Carroll had a horrible challenge, and Nathaniel Hackett won up to him. Horrible challenge. Horrible.
The worst play you can challenge is like when it's a quarter of an inch short or long. Like it stands every single time. 100% of the time it stands.
Unwinnable challenge. Not to mention, they should have spotted the ball further up. It was a bad spot for Denver.
I really just don't understand. Like I said, everything about whether you go to Twitter or our shows or anything is just like extreme hot take style. I genuinely think that the Broncos should consider firing this guy though, because what exactly?
Hold on. Would you fire him if you made the decisions? Would you fire him after that game?
Full metal jacket and beat him with bars of soap. Like just get out. Get out. I don't understand.
Like Pyle? Was that his name? Pyle?
Yeah.
Dude, that's horrible.
I mean, you run a real franchise. And like, I don't mind a coach screwing it up, being, say what you want about the Chargers last year and stuff. You want to be too aggressive and have people debate that. I think that's a worthwhile debate. Like, how is that your opening game of your career? Like, there's no explanation for that kind of thought process.
I feel like you and I could, and we won't, don't worry. We could spend the whole hour on this. That's how bad it was. I really just don't understand the string. I've seen really bad decisions before. I'm not sure I've ever seen a string of bad decisions consecutively like that. It was legitimately 5+ decisions. But it was all game too, Ben. It wasn't just that last drive.
And they still should have won.
They had 435 yards.
They also used like both teams. I didn't know each team carried 7 tight ends. Okay. Like I'm not going to talk about showdown, but like Albert O and Fant were the 7th option for their teams.
It was amazing.
Well, we get 2 of them this week, 2 Monday night games.
You can argue growing pains, but those type of coaching mistakes are not growing pains. That's not having any idea what you're doing. And look,
that's what I'm saying. That's why, honestly, I consider firing him, because that's a mindset.
Yes, exactly.
It's not going to get much better.
64-yard field goal, 4 minutes off the clock, 1 drive. I don't know, man. Anyway, glad to see you're sounding and feeling better. It looks like
I feel much better. If Rashad Penny, thank God he got over 6.5 receiving yards, because that was a kill spot.
That was my biggest one of the day.
He
did it in like the first quarter too.
I thought he was going to end up getting 20 yards receiving, give him the games, and then his rushing prop didn't get over. But you know what? We turned the page. We got some data. I love week 2 because everyone overreacts to everything, and you can really glean a lot from what we saw.
A lot, man. I knew when I said that Arizona secondary was going to be bad, and I know they were facing Mahomes, but boy, was that embarrassing. I mean, that was an embarrassing performance by Arizona at home. I know they're dealing with a lot of injuries, but I think you're right. We can glean a lot from that. I also don't, obviously, and I think you'd agree with me, I don't want to overreact to everything. Week 1 can be odd, and teams can do things that other teams haven't seen. Teams can make adjustments. None of these teams play their starters in the preseason anymore, Ben, which I think is probably noteworthy going into week 1. But there's definitely a lot that we can get into. So we already got 200 people watching. I mean, people are stoked for some pigskin. So hit that thumbs up, subscribe. If you haven't done so yet, it's okay. We forgive you, but we're at 41 likes. I mean, let's turn the dial up, fellas and ladies. Subscribe to the channel. And if you want to join, hit that join down below. Free super chats each month. We had a lot of free super chats yesterday coming in on the deeper dive, just trying to get through that. Custom emojis, those sweet badges that you see everywhere in chat. And we got some other stuff. Like we got the survivor pool for all of our members. How's that going? Are you in that? Did you enter that? Or is that just for the subs?
No, I'm in there. And it's definitely Survivor in general. I'll have a video out over on the Odd Chopper YouTube A lot of people lost, but if you survived, whether you went Ravens or elsewhere, you're in pretty good position even after only 1 week.
Ravens were the smash there for sure.
Yeah,
50% out in the membership.
I honestly don't blame. I don't. It's not that crazy to go have Baltimore. I don't know. Either way, my videos on Odd Shopper too. Check them out. We went 2-1 yesterday on Monday Night Football bets. We lost Broncos, but
man, you cannot get that right.
It's really odd. It's the Russell Wilson flip that I can't get it right. I say it all the time. I put it in Discord and on our betting thing. I edited it real quickly. I shouldn't have. People would have won. But we hit the penny, and then the Cortland Sutton over 23.5 longest receiving yards. That was a nice one. I mean, Wilson's going to air it out. Hey, last thing. How about 29% target share for Javonte Williams? 12 targets or something.
That was the other. We're not going to go back for more rants. I like Melvin Gordon, but like you got to have Javonte Williams to me. Really, really taking control, particularly with the pass catching at times. Big volume without scoring. He's going to be a pass catcher who racks up a lot of PPR value.
It was funny seeing people freak out when Melvin Gordon fumbled. They're like, Javonte Williams wouldn't fumble that. He would have scored.
It's
very
true.
next drive. And then everyone has to old takes expose themselves, which I've done, many times in the past. I blame nobody for that, but it's good stuff. All right. You ready to talk some football for week 2?
Sure.
Loaded slate. And did you know we got 2 Monday Night Football games?
I found that out this morning.
Me too.
They used to do that for week 1. I love that. I think it's great.
Yeah, but these are dumb because they're not double headers. Monday Night Football week 1's at least a, double header. You get the 7 o'clock. You got the West Coast 10 o'clock. This is like 7 and 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that is dumb.
Whatever. I'll go in the basement. I got the 2 TVs down there. You got, if you haven't broken yours yet from tilting tennis, you got the setup.
No, I haven't broke a TV in a long time. I'm past that. I've grown up.
At least a year. At least a year, right? It was not more than a year ago that you threw
it wasn't my fault. I have this argument to this day with May. I wasn't trying to break the TV. I just threw the remote, and I don't know my own strength, and it went directly into the TV.
You're like, you got the Chris Sale build. You had no idea that you'd rip that 100 miles per hour.
What can you do?
All right, let's talk quarterbacks. It's gonna be a fun show. You have to laugh off what happened last night. You have to. But quarterbacks, I think everything's loaded, and I also think a lot of these positions have loaded mid-ranges. You can make the arguments for all of these top price guys. Jonathan Taylor's going against Jacksonville, McCaffrey against the Giants. But my guess is that you and I are going to have some similar opinions on ways to get away from that if you want, in order to build a balanced, but like also if you want semi-contrarian lineup. At quarterback, though, the top tier, so quarterback's not priced egregiously. You got Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray up there. I don't want to pay for Kyler Murray right now, though. I'll tell you that.
I mean, here we go, though. Does anybody? I know.
Nobody
wants to pay for him. And a lot of it was garbage time, and he didn't really run as much as I wanted him to, but that was mostly because the game was out of hand against the Raiders. Lamar is going to be more popular, and I think that's the preferred play. But if I go to Stokastic, our tools on Thursday, and he's 1/3, 1/4 the ownership, I'm going to him and Hollywood Brown running it back with Devontae Adams or Waller type. That's going to be a nice little build, and I'm definitely going to explore it.
Yeah, I get it. Let me present you with my one concern here, right? Is he'll need to rush in this game because the biggest asset for this Raiders defense is clearly their pass rush. You would agree with that, right? Like,
no doubt. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, right. So like Max Crosby that guy's a monster, and they can get you. Kyler Murray was under pressure on 43% of dropbacks. He was 30% completion rating on under pressure last week. Does he have the weapons to get it out? I mean, I get probably Rondell Moore. So maybe you're right about that. I'll jump. I'm going to I'm going to jump around real quickly because I don't think there's a ton at the top tier. We can talk Russell Wilson if you want, and you can come back to that. But I love Derek Carr in this same matchup against Kyler Murray. And I know it's going to be popular, but it doesn't matter if one pairing is popular and if you can do so many different things with the rest of your lineup. I mean, my God, man, 47% target share for Devontae Adams. It's like he never skipped a beat, losing Aaron Rodgers and going back to Carr. And then you've got reasonably priced Renfro and Waller against an Arizona team that just got absolutely dominated by Patrick Mahomes and company in week 1.
Oh yeah, particularly at quarterback, I'm not really worried a ton about ownership. I mean, last week, Patrick Mahomes, pretty obvious, popular, and quite easy to build with him and Kelsey. So
same with Jalen Hurts. Hurts crushed it.
Yeah, Hurts crushed it as well. Now, that was just every running back on the team had to score for reasons unknown.
Literally.
Yeah, just so dumb.
At least Sanders got one.
I had a lot of good last week, a lot of good, and I couldn't avoid the injuries. But Carr, Wentz, this little next range, I think you're going to find a lot of plays. You got teams or players that looked pretty good in week 1 going against god-awful teams that really didn't show themselves well when you allude to a team like Detroit, who gave up a ton of production, and even a team like Arizona, who looked pretty bad. Do you think anybody's going to go to Brady or Stafford, though? They're kind of just sitting there.
If they don't, I will pounce on that, as they say in the media. I would love to get some of either of them. Honestly, why would I not go to Brady at 6,400? Even look at last week. You saw what you saw, or sorry, Sunday night. You saw what I saw. He didn't need to throw that much. He just didn't need to.
The Saints always play them tough. That's my big concern. Yep. They shut down the run, and Brady, obviously, we'll see what's up with Godwin once again. I don't expect him to be popular, and obviously you've got Evans on the outside. I think I'd rather go to Stafford over Brady, though.
I prefer Stafford in this matchup for sure. But if Brady and Tampa Bay stacks specifically end up being considerably on their own, I think you have to look at that because the tough matchup. I don't deny that whatsoever. And you're right. These games are always tough. And with the Bucs, Tom Brady has had some struggles against this Saints team. You know, I'm looking at some of these games and he has really struggled against them. But how about if the fact that shifts sentiment on him so hard that he ends up being like 4% and nobody's playing Julio if Godwin's out. Julio looked really good. He looked healthy again, and he had 2 rush attempts. And then, you know, Mike Evans isn't getting any. So yeah, on paper, I don't like this matchup for Brady. I don't like the history of this matchup. But if you could make the argument that everyone else feels the same way, and I can play a very low-owned, you know, best quarterback ever who's still playing well, I think you could convince me that makes sense.
I mean, there's no doubt. It's just going to be a matter of, you know, how different do the stacks look in that range from Burrow to Brady to Stafford. I think Carr and Wentz are going to be more popular, more obvious. I don't know how much lower I'm going to go. You've got Tua, who I haven't ruled out. Trevor Lawrence looked all right. He threw the ball 43 times, and he's in a very competitive game against the Colts this week at home, 47-point total. I feel like just like last week, though, I'm not sure how much I'm going to pay down at quarterback. It worked out fine. Like, for what it's worth, the Matt Ryan, even Trubisky to a lesser extent, certainly if you somehow got to Wentz, I did not. Like, that was the move. It freed up a ton of salary.
Wentz threw some dimes.
He does that. It's just
he also got picked twice.
Yeah, that's what he does.
You see Curtis Samuel, his target share? Woo.
I mean, that was the game that killed me. I love the Jaguars plus 3. And they
had it too. They were up 22-21, right? It was, yeah. Like, did you see my tweet that said, very generous of Tom Brady to share his adrenochrome with Julio Jones?
You know.
You know what? You want to know the funniest part was? I was clearly being joking.
Probably and then I'm getting followers.
Getting comments that are like, they just don't know yet, Laffy. They just don't know.
Yeah. I didn't see any of those comments. Most of those people have been muted by me, but Yeah, I mean, Julio, for what it's worth, he really did look good and healthy.
He did. And he almost came down with an insane catch. You know what I'm
On
talking
the
about?
sidelines.
Yeah, towards the pilot, probably the 10-yard
It was
line.
a bad throw, but he almost caught it.
But he's back. Dude, Godwin's not playing this week, first of all. Like, he's not officially out. Yeah, he's not officially out, but I'd be shocked if he's not out. I will have more than enough Julio Jones this week. I will, especially because Mike Evans has struggled so much in this matchup against the Saints. I think it could open some things up. Can you imagine if Julio, just think about this for a second, right? Like, you get Antonio Brown, nobody wanted him. When he was on the field, he was amazing. Okay. At what, like 33 years old, 30, whatever. Can you imagine if Julio goes back to even like 80 or so, 90% of where he was with the Falcons? And then they have him now too.
Yeah, that would be, I mean, it's a joke. And I'm not joking. Like, Russell Gage is a good player.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, it's an embarrassment of riches. Obviously, we'll talk about Fournette, even though it's a brutal matchup. Tampa was, I mean, that was a weird game. The Cowboys were just so bad. I still think, though, to kind of put a bow on it, I'm not going to go to Brady stacks unless something really changes on this slate where I can't make it work elsewhere.
Do you think Jared Goff has some value on a slate like this? And the reason I ask is because he's very cheap, number one, but also Amon-Ra St. Brown, even in a tough matchup, that secondary for the Eagles underperformed for sure. But even in what's a pretty tough matchup, Amon-Ra St. Brown was targeted a lot, very healthy target share. You have Hawkinson, DJ Shark, DeAndre Swift. I hate that Jamal Williams got all of the goal line carries. If you're someone that was, high on Swift, he could have had an even bigger game. But I'm just looking down. I know you mentioned Carson Wentz. Do you think it's crazy to look at Jared Goff against Washington as a skinny snack?
I don't think it's crazy. I certainly think the preferred method would be to target, Amon-Ra St. Brown or Hawkinson on the run back of a Wentz stack rather than having actual. I just don't think Goff's that good. He threw the ball a lot. He's got targets, and it's the Lions aren't that bad anymore where it's going to be a miracle if they win some of these games.
They might have the best. They have the top 5 offensive line.
Yeah, Penny Sewell is a bad boy. Yeah. I love that guy. I still don't, to me, I think that Lawrence has just a better ceiling at the same price.
I think that's fair. One other guy to talk about, then we'll move on to running backs. Joe Burrow. Ooh.
Yikes.
That was rough, real rough. And he was clearly under pressure a lot. He got picked off 4 times. It's funny that because I was on, I think you were on the Pittsburgh side of this one.
I certainly was, plus 250.
I was on the Bengals side. So you understand how I felt that they turned the ball over 5 times and still took it to overtime without T. Higgins.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly should have won. And I didn't, the Steelers were not. I thought the Steelers were live with that number, not because I thought they were going to win the game. T. Higgins getting hurt on a personal note was quite expensive. I get it in the bounce back. I'm just a little worried about game flow in the sense that Dallas, I mean, what the hell are they going to do? Are they going to try to really slow the game? They don't have a real coach who can plan for these things. I don't know how often do you think Burrow has to drop back in terms of eclipsing, getting to a ceiling potential against Dallas in this spot?
Yeah. Cooper Rush.
I don't know. They'll play fine, but not up tempo.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right. They're definitely, yeah, you're probably right, which is actually a pretty solid segue in the running backs, because I think Joe Mixon could see an insane amount of work this week. I mean, people said that people said that Joe Mixon wasn't, going to be a pass catcher anymore in this offense, and they said it was going to be Chris Evans who didn't see the field. Joe Mixon still had like 8 targets in this game. He had an insane amount of work. Sure, it went to overtime, understandable, but he had 8 targets and 27 carries. He had 35 total looks in week 1.
Oh yeah, and yes, it went to overtime and whatnot, but he's going to be busy in a lot of these games, and he's just not priced with the elites yet. I guess I could say, you've got Jonathan Taylor and McCaffrey, basically 10 and 9,000, and then you've got Joe Mixon, Saquon, Chubb, Swift, all in that low 7K range. So it's a fascinating situation. Then you've got Kamara in the middle of them, which I have no idea what to do. I assume that the prudent move would be to pass, but who in their right mind is going to play him sporting the Q tag?
I know.
Nobody.
Yeah. Can you?
I mean, I think, again, in contest selection, something here at Stokastic we really talk about. Yeah, I think if you're playing in like the millie, you definitely can, but I don't know how you go beyond that. It seems like a ridiculous opportunity cost to play him.
Don't you think his usage was a little concerning too? Not even just a questionable tag?
I'm assuming that it's correlated.
Could be.
Like, I don't know exactly when he hurt his ribs. I would hope that it wasn't, that's what he's going to do. Oh, and now he's got a rib injury.
Right. Yeah. The only big concern I have is this team looks a whole lot different than they have before.
Yes.
In terms of a lot of added weapons. So I don't know how much that's going to affect them. I don't even know if it's worth the risk, to be honest with you. It
might not be. I mean, it's just going to be, obviously Saquon is going to be.
And it should be.
He was great. He looked healthy. He catches the ball. Explosion. The Giants are at home. What's there to really say? Carolina, it's 1 week, but 5.6 yards allowed per rush. They did not do a good job on the ground to open the season. Saquon's going to be one of the most popular plays, but he's also extreme, high floor cash viable.
You have Swift in that similar price range. Even Leonard Fournette. I mean, I think you're right that the Saints, this could be one of those low scoring games for sure, even though you have two good offenses. But Fournette had 21 carries on Sunday night. Going to be real interesting this. And then Todd Bowles said in the offseason that they're going to look to limit his workload this year. Okay. Yeah. That's why you don't trust anything these coaches say. Your best players get the ball, and Leonard Fournette at 127 yards on 21 carries and only had a couple targets, but they didn't need to throw to him. They didn't need to throw to him. Dak Prescott was terrible. I want to talk about Taylor and McCaffrey. Before we do, though, it looks like MGM is still running that. They're still running that, right? The 10 for 200.
They brought it back.
Okay.
From the clouds.
Okay.
No one's gonna have any complaints. It's the best deal running. I mean, what can you honestly say?
The reason it's the best deal running is because most people are already on DraftKings and FanDuel. It's kind of like cell phone or cable companies where they give you this amazing sign-up deal. And then after you've been with them 10 years and you're a loyal customer who's never missed a payment, they're just kind of like, nah, we got you. That's how DraftKings, FanDuel, and all these are. I mean, I get it, but it's true. It's true, right? You call up, okay, you have any upgrades available? You have any good plans for someone that's been with you for 15 years? And they're like, no, sorry. And then you say, I'm going to cancel. And like, well, we do have this.
That's what's serious. I get that with Sirius all the time in my car.
It's crazy. They'll be like, well, we have $3 a month. Is that what you meant? Yes, that's what I meant. But yeah, MGM, a lot of people haven't signed up there yet. You take $10, Tyler, can you throw the link in the chat for anybody that wants to use that? Take $10. That's it. Use the link that we're putting in chat. It's probably in the description as well. If you're listening after the fact, make sure, Tyler, too, that it's in the description if you get a second. Bet any football game this week. Is it just NFL games? It is. Tyler says, okay. So bet any game. Okay. You can put it on Thursday Night Football today or put it on Sunday. It's $10. Win or lose, you just bet either team to win. Win or lose, I think it's like if either team scores a touchdown or whatever, but they just
that's going to happen.
It's free money anyway. It's a loss. Yes. Either team scores a touchdown, your $10 turns into $200. And if you win the bet, you're still getting the money on the bet. The way I look at it is if you lose, let's say you get your $200, and you blow through all of it. You just go on a terrible run. We know we've been there, Ben.
Many times.
Worst case, the biggest downside is you lose 10 total dollars. The upside is that you take that free $200 and you turn it into a monster bankroll by using only $10. So if you want to sign up, Tyler will throw the link in the chat. It's an awesome promo. And it's $10 into 200. So yeah, BetMGM, check it out. Just put it on any team to win this week, and you will get $200 when you bet $10 using that link for the first time depositors when you sign up. All right. Jonathan Taylor and McCaffrey. Taylor's 8,900 or 9,900, man. That is as good a matchup and as good as he is and as great as he was last week. RB2 on the week. No surprise. What a steep price tag.
It's tough. It really is, because there's just a lot of intricacies that go in where he could quote unquote get there, and there's nothing he could do more. But if more than 3 backs quote unquote get there at a lower price point, it still might not be enough. Like, he has to go above and beyond the Saquons, the Mixons, because point per dollar, you're paying for that. And I get it. If I have the money, I like him better in this spot than I did last week. This should be, a really, really good spot for him. Not that last week wasn't. I'm just not sure how often I can allocate 1/5 of my salary to one of my backs. It's a tough ask.
Isn't it kind of a tougher ask too, when you look at how many really good mid-range and upper mid-range backs? Yeah.
That's what I mean, where it's like he could get there in terms of what you need. But if some of these other mid-range backs have also ceiling games for them, you would rather have their point per dollar and the extra money to pay up at wide receiver or tight end. And then the last thing I'll say about Jonathan Taylor, most running backs who have knocked on the 10K price point are elite pass catchers.
Yes.
And he's getting better, but I don't equate him to like an elite where there's games where he'll have 10 catches like McCaffrey used to do.
And on that same token, we had, where was this comment? Marcos, what's up, man? Said, I think people are going to chase Saquon this week. I'll be honest with you. And I know Matt Savogo has been banging the drum for Barkley all year. I don't think you're chasing at all. He had a 33% target share in week 1. Jones only threw 21 times. So, there's context, but still he had a third of all of his targets. Everything about Saquon Barkley in this game look, if he stays healthy and continues to get this workload, Saquon Barkley will be over 9K sooner than later, even on a not great team. He had 18 carries, but 164 yards and a score, 6 receptions on 7 targets, Ben. And now you've got him go, and they played from behind for a bunch of that game. Now you've got him going up against a Carolina team, like you said, and they're at home. 25 looks, 25 touches for Barkley. Not only is it not out of the question, but it's very, very possible. So I don't think it's a chase spot, even if he's popular. I'm not saying you have to play him, but it's a good spot with that workload.
Yeah, I mean, I view it as you're going to be chasing the ownership. Like the time to play Saquon was last week, but I still have a lot of interest here. It's a different dynamic that you're evaluating, but he still grades out incredibly positive.
What I mean by chasing is, and you're right, you're chasing the ownership. What I mean is, in terms of work, it wasn't a flash in the pan performance as far as opportunity goes.
Oh no, not at all. And especially Chad just pointed this out. Why did they not use Tony? I have no explanation. Every time he touches the ball, it's fantastic. So they gave him like 4 snaps. So Saquon is going to be busy regardless. And if he stays healthy, big year from him, obviously.
Tony didn't enter the game until the 4th quarter.
No
targets, 2 carries.
Yeah, we're great. He was doing cool things. He's good. I like him a lot.
He is. If they use him, we'll see. That could be one of those spots this week where he goes off. It can be one of those weird, you see it all the time where they just don't play and then they, play 90% of snaps.
I mean, that guy here, he's got some goodwill because he went for 2 and got it. So people here, everyone's very excited about Dable.
I was just going to say, Dable could have gone from, and I tweeted something to the extent of, Dable went from potentially being the enemy number one, a public enemy number 1 in New York to being adored by everybody on one play.
He also probably knew, if he's been around these other coaches, that even if he got ripped, it would be temporary because this Hackett guy is going to take all the news, no matter what you did on Sunday.
Right. And
you'll be fine.
And his predecessor was Joe Judge.
Yeah, he's got a nice buffer with his colleagues right now.
Yeah, it would have been great if it was a sneak and it didn't work. And then they ask him about it, and they're ripping him in the post game, and he's like, "Yeah, at least I didn't sneak it out of my own end zone."
You always have that card to play.
Absolutely. But I love the mid-range, man. Like, I still think Fournette is viable because I do think he'll get a lot of pass catching work. I'm not prioritizing him, but I think he's fine. DeAndre Swift, I knew Jamal Williams was going to be involved. You and I said it on Sunday. Dan Campbell really does like him. Swift was awesome, but that does concern me a little bit. Najee Harris just had x-rays on his foot. It seems like he's okay, but I mean, is he? I don't know. He said he's going to play this weekend, but is he hindered by it?
It doesn't seem great. Him and Higgins were quite unfortunate injuries for me. And it's just a tough range because Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon should be, not fumbling on the 1 yard line. They're in a great matchup at home. They're double-digit favorites over the Texans. And then you mentioned Swift. I mean, does Antonio Gibson not do much of the same? 8 targets, 14 carries. It looks like another 20-touch game coming for him at 6,200 this week.
I love it, actually. I love it. I mean, Antonio Gibson's pass game involvement was really significant, right?
Fantastic.
Really significant. 8 targets. So again, you're talking 22 looks in that game. Now you're going up against the Detroit team that just got carved up. Now, granted, Eagles' run game is something different. All right, like Jalen Hurts rushed for 90 yards, but Sanders, like he always does, 7.5 yards per attempt. These guys all were putting up numbers. And we know last year, Detroit's run defense, even if they're improved this year, I do anticipate they will be still not good. They gave up 216 rushing yards. So I'm with you there. I really like Antonio Gibson in this game. Do you feel like ownership's going to be really spread out at running back, just given how many good options we have?
I mean, certainly it will be spread out to an extent. I think we all know that guy like Saquon is going to be really popular. I think Gibson certainly not going to be under-owned, but once you get past that, you've got like Darrell Henderson's in a great matchup. Atlanta can't stop anybody on the ground, but will Cam Akers be relevant? I really don't know. He wasn't in game one. Penny, I think, is going to have a big year, but he's going against the teeth of the Niners defense as a terrible matchup.
Yep.
I'm not sure where the cheapies like, Michael Carter's down. I don't see a lot as we work down.
Agreed. I think Michael Carter could be fine, but is that just going to be a committee hot hand approach? Possible. Jeff Wilson against Seattle. What about him?
I don't know. I mean, it's just again, I'm trying to think of it in the context of the guy's not 4K. It doesn't change your lineup that much when I can say, can I find $600-700 and get the players like even like a Josh Jacobs who was, not really involved, but if the game script say Arizona really is broken and everyone's going to go to that passing attack, the Raiders are still nearly a touchdown favorite at home. Maybe it's Josh Jacobs controlling on the ground and you destroy both Carr and Kyler Murray stacks.
I actually have Josh Jacobs written down in the run sheet as one of the guys that we should talk about. So I don't think it's the craziest idea, as a matter of fact. Jacobs gets into the end zone twice. You're looking at like the 17 carry, 100 yards, 90 yards or whatever, 2 touchdown type performance. That's what you'd want at that price. I think it's doable. One guy I think that could get you into trouble. I want to know where you're at on this because this is still fresh in our minds. Javonte Williams, amazingly, his Broncos got it right. We're playing from behind last game, like all game. And Russell Wilson was forced to throw a lot and dump it off to his running backs. What if that's, and it shouldn't be the case against Houston, but at this point, who the hell knows? They're 10-point favorites at home, though. With that in mind, dude, it's also, what if we just see like 14 carries each from Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, or, 16 from Melvin Gordon and 12 from Javonte Williams, who only gets 3 targets in the passing game?
I think that's very possible. Very possible. And now the TD equity for both of them is much higher because it's a really good spot for the game. But how many scenarios, honestly, does a guy like Javonte Williams touch the ball 20 plus times against Houston? I'm not sure how likely that is. So it's going to be really efficient. I definitely prefer Gibson. I think not everyone, but the majority of people prefer Gibson. Great matchup. Volume could be an issue for the Broncos backs.
Anything else at running back?
No. I don't anticipate going below 5K unless something emerges.
Okay. I don't know if there's anything out there I don't even have anyone written down for sub 5K right now.
No, I don't see it. And interesting comment from chat. Not that we're going to go back, but I don't understand why Lance isn't an interesting tournament play. He played in shitty monsoon, scored 10 points. I don't disagree. I think there's a lot of unknowns with him. It's clearly a better spot this week. He's just in a bucket with a lot of different quarterbacks, but I get that logic.
Sure. George Kittle's status too would help if he's active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't take anything from that game. It was an actual monsoon.
It was rough. Yeah. Did you see Fields and them sliding afterwards?
Yeah. I'm a big Fields fan, but
yeah, looked like fun.
It did look like fun.
Khalil Herbert looked pretty good too, but yeah, I don't know.
Get murdered. They're not on the slate. Thank God.
What do you think the chances are that Trey Lance isn't good?
Isn't good? Pretty. I think there's Trey Lance is the type of guy, if you told me, what are the chances he's incredibly good or god awful? I think both are somewhat his range of outcomes is enormous. I think there's a pretty good chance he's not good.
Kind of like what we said with the Colts. Either they smoke Houston last week or Houston keeps
or
it
tie.
Yeah. Tie.
Yes, some guys are like that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, you see some of those. He made a couple throws where it's like, that is why they drafted him.
Dude, the one where he scrambled, where he rolled left under pressure and threw across the field, across his body. You know what I'm talking about?
Nasty.
Real sick.
Then you have other throws where it's just like they honestly need to go to Jimmy J.
Oh, sorry. I was talking about Fields. My fault. Fields made that one.
Fields. Well, he's another one, though. Everything you say about Lance, you could say about Fields.
Yeah, for sure. There were some where's Jimmy
both of them, though. Flashes of brilliance.
Will Niners fans, if Lance struggles through the first 3 or 4 games, start clamoring to get Jimmy G back in there?
100%.
Yeah, I think so. I know if that was Philly, just pure reactionaries. All right. Hey, we got free tools today too. First of all, our player compare tool is free every day of the week. It's sick. I loved seeing in chat yesterday on the deeper dive, people saying that it's been helping their, and in our deeper dive that it's helping their process, and it's made for hand builders. It's an awesome tool. You can do 1v1 compares, 2v2. Tyler, throw it up on the screen too if you have a second. Really cool. We put ownership up there. Of course, when it updates for the week, we give you the projection, and then we give you, the percentage advantage on each side. You guys will love it if you're hand building lineups. It's free all the time, not just today. MLB Top Stacks is free today. PGA Golfer Rankings is free today. And as always, help support our Odd Shopper channel. You'll be supporting your bankroll too. And we got some awesome content. But over at Odd Shopper, we got you covered, man. Anything you need when it comes to betting. Eric Lindquist is in chat. He's got awesome videos out there. His MLB video has been fantastic. Ben's got everything from college to baseball to literally anything.
Soccer. I bet that's my play of the day today. Soccer.
I'm doing a ton of football right now. I'll be back with basketball soon enough. And one last thing. Sorry, I know I'm saying a lot here. We're 18 likes away from 100. We got over 350 watching. Atone for your sins if you have forgotten to do so. We will forgive you, but the YouTube overlords hover above us, and we need all their help we can get. Got to keep the lights on around here. All right. Wide receiver, Cooper Kupp, And I'll go to Hall of Fame after this, Tyler, after wide receiver, because we had two people chop. We had two Stokastic avatars win like 300,000 each last night. So that's good.
Useful.
Yeah, that's good. Tell me how I can justify paying 1,300 more for Cooper Kupp than Davante Adams this week?
Yeah, so that's the question. Again, it's not even like he's in his own price tier, kind of like Jonathan Taylor in some regards. And then you have to ask yourself, I mean, can Cooper Kupp get there if the Rams play to the spread? They're 11-point favorite at home. I'm not sure what you really need in terms of game script. And then, from him to Adams to Chase, a couple guys, 5 guys down is Tyreek Hill, and you're talking about almost $3,000 in salary. So what an interesting dynamic. Cooper Kupp is an amazing player, just like Jonathan Taylor. I just don't see myself clicking in $9,900 for him that often.
It's so much. And it's not to say that he can't crush in this matchup, and I know there will be an ownership disparity or just, disparity, whatever you want to say here, but 8,600 against an Arizona team that just got their doors blown off at home, allowed, how many passing yards did they allow? Let's see. Oh, no, not bad. Not as bad as I thought. Only 488.
Oh yeah, lovely. Yeah, he didn't get the double 500-yard bonus from the underground.
Yeah, 488 passing yards. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was total yards. I'm dumb. 360. But that's still the worst in the league. That's still more than the Texans, who went into overtime. Really bad stuff. And Mahomes just stopped throwing towards the end of the game. So ultimately what I'm saying is Davante Adams is in what you would call a true smash spot, Ben.
I mean, he absolutely is. Everything that you like, Renfro and Waller were still involved a little, but it's been 1 week, but I think I'm pretty clearly wrong about what I thought. Davante Adams is taking control. Like, he is the clear alpha for the team, and it looks like it's going to be that way. Let me ask you this as we work down a little bit. Do you think that it matters if T. Higgins plays for what you do with Chase?
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
what a weird spot.
They don't have a lot of depth at wide receiver. Like, you have Tyler Boyd, but he's not a bad player, but he's kind of one-dimensional, right? In terms of like what he's not stretching the field for you.
I don't even know, would they move him outside?
I don't know. I don't know. Hayden Hurst ran a lot of routes and he was effective, but I mean, you're talking, I think Higgins plays because it's a concussion.
Yeah.
He's got a week to recover from that. I think he plays, but yeah, if he doesn't, because Chase said 16 targets in that overtime game, 30% target share. If he doesn't play, yes, I will have a lot of, I would assume that I'm going to play a decent amount of Jamar Chase regardless here. But if Higgins plays, I would definitely like Adams more. And then I'll tell you the truth, man. I would probably like a lot of $5,900 T. Higgins.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
right?
I like T. Higgins a lot last week. And so I get it. That's something to keep in mind. You've got Debo coming off the monsoon game. Obviously, he gets it done a little different. You can use him as a one-off. He's not correlated to his quarterback nearly as much. 7,800 feels about right. He should be heavily involved.
The good thing is they still used him last game, even when Trey Lance couldn't get him the ball, because he was targeted 7 times. And if you're looking at that and you're concerned, they didn't throw a lot. He still had a 29% target share, dude. Right? Like, he's still 29% target share still. Not bad. He had 8 carries and 2 of them were in the red zone. So, rushing touchdown. But if Kittle's out, I think Debo's even more appealing in that matchup.
Yeah. I mean, again, he's just, I'm treating the Niners as if we have not seen them this year.
Fair enough. I'm also pretty convinced that among everyone in that price range, Debo will be by far the lowest owned.
I'd agree.
Okay. Tyreek Hill against Baltimore. Very, very high target share. Dude, Tua threw some absolute ducks to him.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that said more about the Patriots than the Dolphins per se. I don't really have a strong take on Tyreek. I still think, there's some things that we need to figure out. It's a close. I actually, and we're not talking, that's odd shopper centric. I thought the spread would be a lot more for Baltimore. It's a 3.5 point spread. Baltimore's at home here.
I saw that too.
I like the Ravens in this game.
You like them to cover?
I do. I don't think Miami's that good. I think New England's just bad.
Yeah, and one of those touchdowns for Miami was defensive touchdown, right?
It was it was a bad, Mac Jones had issues.
Yeah. Marcus Peters, I thought he got injured again in this game.
I mean, everyone for Baltimore, every game gets injured. So it's hard to keep track. They lose more players.
Oh, no, Marcus Peters. I'm sorry. You know what it was? He was ruled out before week 1. That's what it was.
Somebody tore an ACL on Baltimore, I think.
What?
Somebody got hurt for Baltimore.
Right. Didn't someone tear an ACL?
Yeah, I thought it was I want to say Fuller.
Yeah.
Kyle Fuller out for the season.
Oh, right. Kyle Fuller. Thank you. Yes, it was. I knew somebody did because
Virginia Tech. Great. Anyway,
Marcus Peters was one that I thought was going to play, and then he didn't. But yeah, you lose Kyle Fuller. That was it. Thank you. Anyway, if you look further down, am I crazy to have some interest in CeeDee Lamb with Cooper Rush under center? And let me just explain this to you, right? So Cooper Rush only started 1 game last year, and Amari Cooper was on the field as well. But CeeDee Lamb still had a 30% target share with Cooper Rush. They might not play up tempo, but they might need to throw. And CeeDee Lamb, despite not being able to haul on any of those, Dak was terrible. That was a brutal game. He was still targeted 11 times on Sunday night. So am I thinking too much into that?
I mean, again, most situations like this, the answer is yes, but everyone else is going to feel that way too. So like if you're talking to me about a 5% owned CeeDee Lamb or something, I mean, it's still a big time player at home with a quarterback that I don't think Cooper Rush is great, but I also think he'll handle himself fine. I don't expect them to just be, I mean, it couldn't be worse than what he did in week 1 in terms of the Cowboys offense. Right. So I just don't know if I want to pay $7K for it. Like you've got Schultz, you've got Noah Brown. There's a lot of guys. Pittman got a price bump. McLaurin, St. Brown, Hollywood Brown, Sutton. These guys right below him, that's a lot more stability. So it needs to be an ownership discount.
No question. Because Pittman's in a great spot for sure. They just had Carson Wentz throw 4 touchdowns against them, Jacksonville. Although some of those were real tight windows and good coverage. I will say that much. You're right. McLaurin, I like St. Brown this week too. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is a perfectly fine play. Marquise Brown, you talked about, Kyler Murray and a lower owned stack there. Marquise Brown was underwhelming along with the rest of the team, but he's still, 4 for 43. He's still found the end zone. And then, Cortland Sutton's still out there, Ben. It's 6,100, right? You have Cortland Sutton with big play potential. Brandon Cooks is just going to continue to see a massive target share every single week, 32% in week 1. T. Higgins, there's a lot to like here. What do you make? Hey, what do you make of guys like Christian Kirk and Hunter Renfrow? Because Renfrow, not a big game last time out, but it's a good matchup. Maybe he goes on their own because everyone goes to Adams and Waller. And then Robbie Anderson, who had a 30% target share on 8 targets in week 1 and seemed to be one of Baker Mayfield's favorite guys to go to.
Yeah. So this is where you get into a really interesting range of a lot of, secondary targets. You've got Devontae Adams to Renfrow, Mike Evans to Julio in this range, Cooper Kupp to Allen Robinson, like the second fiddle for a lot of teams. Jerry Jeudy is here, who showed it only takes 1. I think volume's probably the biggest issue for these guys, but tournament wise, I have a lot of intrigue, and I think I'll have some lineups. Say you really want to get Jonathan Taylor and pay up, I wouldn't be uncomfortable peppering this with 3 guys, like sub 6K for wide receiver on certain teams.
That's a good, and you could make a lineup like that and go, oh, okay. I have Because
like
Christian
Bateman.
Kirk is the number one, right? He saw a lot of time. I'm not saying, he goes out there and blows it up, but probably going to, at least you're going to get the volume. Julio Jones looked good. Yeah. Renfro, Judy, you named them. Like we both talked about it a lot.
And
I'm
Bateman,
kind of out on Allen Robinson until I can.
that was bad.
I'm not trying to overreact, but there's so much in this price tier right now that we know they're going to be heavily involved.
No doubt. And again, I think it's guys that are going to have more sporadic ceilings, but these guys are going to have big, even Tyler Lockett, another guy that I don't particularly want to go to him, but it's the same concept of, Metcalf looked much better. It's 1 week though. I'm not going to overly panic. And even, again, I know I said it a couple of times, like Duvernay caught touchdowns. Rashad Bateman, he scored as well, but I think he could be in line for even more work here. So I like this spot. I'm going to target these guys pretty often, and I'll feel good about it.
For sure. Ben Fleisner said, hard to pay more for CD than Pittman. No doubt. My guess, though, is that the ownership there, the difference in ownership is insane.
Massive.
Yeah. Obviously, Pittman getting the ownership. So I got two more players at wide receiver that I want to throw at you here. One, Curtis Samuel. Clearly, a lot of opportunity last game. We haven't seen that in a long time. Carson Wentz leaned on him. Now, could it be Terry McLaurin any day? Of course it could. Carson Wentz threw a lot, but Curtis Samuel, 4,600. And then one more here. This will shock you. DPJ.
I played a couple of shares of DPJ in week 1.
Now
11 targets.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
It makes sense, right? It makes sense. He's the number 2, maybe now number 1. We don't know what tomorrow. Yeah, I don't think that's crazy. I played a decent amount of Devin Duvernay for the same reason probably that you played Peoples-Jones. Like they don't have another actual receiver behind Bateman, and Bateman's not technically proven yet, right? So
no, I get that.
Well, 32% target share on the day for Donovan Peoples-Jones. How about that? And now they got the Jets.
It's a good spot. I'm also interested to see, and looks like he's going to be pretty good. And I have no reason to think that he wasn't. Like Jahan Dotson was great.
Yeah.
But he ran as pure, with touchdown equity as you can do with only a handful of targets. I hope that people kind of stay with that. Cause if that's the case, like give me DPJ over him every day of the week in this spot.
I think I'd take Curtis Samuel over him too.
I would too. I'm not looking to these guys, but even like Noah Brown, he's 3,800. Like there are guys going down you could play. I don't want to play him, but I could.
Noah Brown was on the field for almost the entire game too. Yeah, I was going to mention Kyle Phillips when I was doing the run sheet, and then I realized there were 2 Monday night games, but he had a crazy target share for the Tennessee Titans. So we're going to have some cheap options here. Are there any other cheap players that might be worthwhile just as like a Greg Dortch, 9 targets for the Arizona Cardinals last game? There's a surprising one for you. Where'd he go to school, Ben?
Greg Dortch? I want to say Purdue, but I think I made that up.
All right, let's see here. If you get this right.
I don't think that's right. I've heard the name though.
Wake Forest.
Yeah, I mean, now that you say it, but I was not getting there.
But how
Same
about
colors?
this? But let me just throw this at you because he is 3,500, and I'm not anointing this guy as anything more than he is because I don't know what I truly have no idea. Complete transparency, Ben. I don't know shit about this guy. Okay, but what I can tell you, 91% snap share. Okay, 91% snap share in week 1. If you look at yards per route, or if you look at yards, I don't know what his route participation rate was, but in terms of per drop back, but he ran 42 routes on the day, which was the most on the team, tied with Marquise Brown. And he led the team in targets with 9. He's $3,500. Not crazy, right?
No, I mean, seeing all his games at Wake Forest that I obviously watched, you could tell that this guy's a playmaker. But no, I mean, 3,500 in a game
Rondell Moore would have to be out though, by the way, just throwing that
Yes.
out there.
No doubt about it. But that's a game where I think everybody is interested, but mostly for the other side. You know, Arizona is probably one of the better buy low teams out there. And then the other like if clause, if T Higgins sits, you're probably going to have an opportunity to take a like Stone Min Bengals wide receiver if you want to.
Yeah, for sure. Celia got that. What's up,
Yeah.
Celia? Good to see you. Tyler, were you following chat? Did she sneak that in before we revealed Wake Forest? I think she did.
I'll give it to her.
I don't think she'd lie. It's pretty impressive. If you don't know it, someone else does.
I mean, I got the COVID fog. What can I say?
Is that, oh, you got the brain fog still?
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't have the long COVID, man. Where did
Like the extra
CJ
long.
Saunders go to school?
All right. Not only do I not know that, I don't know who that is. So that makes it a little more difficult. Who the
I
hell
just
is that?
scrolled down the player list and hovered over the first guy I saw.
Oh, yeah, this guy. That's even if I Google this, I might not get it.
What about Khalil Pimpleton?
He went to Central Michigan for sure.
Okay.
100%.
Pimpleton's a wild name, though.
Yeah, he definitely went to Central Michigan. I watched a lot of his games.
All right, one more. Mike Harley Jr.
No, I choose not to race. Who
Okay.
the hell is that?
All right, let's hit on tight ends. Before we do and we got almost 400 people watching. Shout out to all you guys hanging out with us on a Tuesday morning for a Sunday slate. I think all of you would agree this slate's going to be really fun, though. There's a lot of different ways to do things. Pretty excited about it. And then we got 2 Monday Night Football games. We got to shout out all the people rocking the Stokastic avatar. Some people still rocking the Awesemo avatar. We got to fix that. But if you want to get involved, put up on the Hall of Fame. We'll shout you out here. You can brag to your friends. It's a life, this is an accomplishment, a lifetime achievement to get up on the Stokastic Hall of Fame. Not only that, though, if you go to stokastic.com/avatar and finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, you don't just get up here when you tweet your wins at Stokastic HOF on Twitter. You see it all up on the screen. You also get a free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. Everything on the site included outside of Fantasy Country, everything. So, yeah, go ahead and do that. Let's kick it off. Shout out to that stun. Oh, dude, he won FanDuel too. Wow, I saw him up there the other day. I don't know. He crushes, man.
Yeah, he's
Not
a
even-
crusher.
I don't know who that is, though. Do you?
I know that, he's very close with, Alex and
Okay.
Tom, like
But I've
some of the
never met
sharpest minds. I've never met him either, but just a true monster.
Elite player. Yes.
Yes.
It's absurd. Because he's always up here. $1 million Sunday juggernaut.
Well, that's
Woo.
useful.
The Colts with 100K.
I do
mean,
know
you want to talk
him.
about another juggernaut? Steve Buzzard, straight DFS juggernaut. He works on a lot of tools behind the scenes here too. Here it is. NFL Showdown, Monday Night Millionaire. Death Flower, change that Avi, man, but amazing. 293,000, tied with Falstaff, 64, rocking the Stokastic avatar. And dude, you're talking $600,000 right there between 2 subs. Gotta love it.
What can you say? The tools obviously do the work. Particularly, I mean, I love our main slate stuff, but the stuff for Showdown, when it's one game and you have to dig into guys that at least I can only speak for me, that I don't know anything about, being able to see that top 6 percentage, the captain percentage, it makes all the difference. And that's what you need on those crazy. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's huge. And I love seeing these too. They don't need to be $1 million hits. First top 3 finish ever. Thank you guys for all the great content. NFL Mini Max. I mean, that's amazing, dude. Congratulations to Jay Zumberg. And it looks like first place, Juju B, is also a Stokastic avatar. So we're putting in work this week. Average Mog, chop the main on Thursday, solo in the single entry, $1. Average Mog is my name on Stokastic. Time to change my avatar. All good, brother. That's awesome. $10,000 between the 2 of those. Huge wins. And then our boy CJ Beast. You know a little bit about CJ Beast, Ben?
Just a little bit.
Coming in hot here, $9,000, 33rd place in that one in the Mega Millionaire. So successful first week of NFL. Thanks for all the content. Best in the business. Shout out to you too, Connor. And thanks to Kess for helping me hit this 10-leg parlay. That's Odd Shopper, baby. And all the tools that we got over there. $10 bet, to win 2,100. Huge. Shout out to all you guys. Congratulations. You've now been inducted in the Hall of Fame, and welcome
some
back.
Some are watching the show right now. Colin M. I'm not sure if he's that Stunner or Death Flower, one of them, but look at that right in chat on this fine Tuesday morning.
Oh, what about updating the avatar?
Yeah.
See, this is just like almost a public service announcement, right?
There it is.
Like if you're at the fair and they go, whoever has the green Honda Civic license plate GS9211438, you left your keys at the funnel cake stand.
That's a lot to take in, but I don't go to the fair as often as you.
I'm right. We say, hey, Death Flower, you left your avatar as awesome. We're just doing a public service. That's all. Yeah.
And we only, you just send us over like $150 of that 300K that you made last night for letting you know, and we'll call it even, my friend.
Oh, Colin's Death Flower.
Yeah.
That's amazing, dude. Congratulations.
Really awesome stuff.
What a monster win. That game, I guarantee, pissed me off a lot more than it pissed you off last night.
Yeah. I mean, even if I'm sure I would hope is still mad at what he had to watch for that money, but it makes it a lot easier.
Do you think was worth it?
Depends how good he's been rolling before this, but
right.
It's painful, man. Therapy bills end up paying up quickly.
All right. Tight ends. We're building, man. We got about 400 in here. So let's do this. Tight ends. Darren Waller at 5,600. I know I saw 6 targets last game, but I still like Darren Waller. I think that's still a fair price for him. Do you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, electric player, super talent. Devontae Adams is going to get his, but they can coexist. Kittle, I want to see what's up with Kittle, but you have a pretty fair, incremental drop. I think pricing's pretty efficient for tight ends this week.
I do too. And I will say as well that if Mark Andrews ends up being, not particularly high owned, I know last game he was underwhelming. There was Duvernay doing most of the work. I still have interest there. His price has actually come down from last week. And the way I see this is pretty simple. Mark Andrews has slate breaking upside for sure. And kind of based on what you were saying too, is there's so many mid-range and low mid-range guys that you can go at running back and tight or wide receiver and still have really good lineups. I don't think it's crazy to say, in some of these lineups, I will pay for Mark Andrews.
You're not paying that much more too. You're talking about $500 to $1,000. And I get it. I'm still waiting. Yeah, again, waiting. It's been 1 week. Kyle Pitts is going to have some monster weeks. I don't know if it's against the Rams either. I'm getting closer to playing him. I didn't like him last week, but 5,400 is going to be a good tag long term for him.
I talked about Josh Allen, working a lot of just kind of quick out stuff like intermediate routes against the Rams because they really give up a lot of a high completion percentage, a lot of yards. But if you sit in the pocket too long, Aaron Donald will get you. I wonder if that could actually bet. And Josh Allen, Marcus Mariota is no Josh Allen, but Josh Allen tore up this secondary in week 1. The one interception certainly wasn't his fault anyway. It was in and out of McKenzie's hands. Maybe Pitts could benefit in a matchup like this. I mean,
it's going to depend on. I think it's going to depend on how quickly teams can get a book on what Atlanta wants to do. They have an interesting little dynamic with Mariota. So it's not the best environment, but he's just such a talent.
Is there anybody you like once you get down below those guys? Because last week it was kind of just a roulette wheel of what's possible. I'll give you one and then tell me what you got. I think Hayden Hurst is still okay at this price. Nice route participation last game, played a lot of snaps. Of course, if T. Higgins is out, it definitely benefits Hurst, and I would like him more than I would if T. Higgins is active.
Correct. No doubt about that. So you got Hawkinson, I think is fine. Higbee had a great target share. I just don't know, again, how often are they going to be throwing a ton against a team like Atlanta? He's got to get it early. And then, of course, as we wind down, Evan Ingram caught all of his targets in the first game, all 4 of them.
Yeah.
3,600. Now he gets the Colts.
I should have known you were going there. How about
Why
OJ
not?
Howard? 2 targets,
No.
2 receptions. No, I'm not. No. And
Okay.
2 touchdowns.
Did you know that he was on the Texans?
Yeah, only because the Bills cut him.
Didn't know he was on the. I thought he was still on the Buccaneers.
Oh, no, yeah. He was
Okay.
on the Bills, and they cut him before the season started. Do you think Freiermuth is viable here?
So I don't think it's directly impacted with Najee, but say Najee's limited. You've got Deontay Johnson, who, and I know, so I saw some people tweet this, most underrated, amazing catch I've ever seen. Like no one's even talking about that catch.
I don't know if I saw it. I didn't see a ton of
You
highlights.
see what I'm talking about? Deontay Johnson, best catch of the week. It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
In a key situation. Freiermuth is fine though. He's going to get some looks, probably, 5-ish targets again. I don't mind it. He's just give me $300 for Hawkinson.
All right. Snap answer on this, right? Will there be more than 8 weeks this year where the Patriots as a team are playable?
Yeah, when they play it with Showdown, they're going to have to enforce. Like, it's bad.
It's bad. It's real bad. And then Mac Jones has got the back spasms. It's rough. Anyway, you got a golf show coming up at 1, right?
Yes, sir. We're kicking the season off. Me and Jeff Ulrich. I know it's swing season golf, but a lot of opportunity to get a read on some of these new players on this very channel. So I'll get some hydration, get a little food, and then I'll be right back.
All right. Well, last question, as we always do. Defense under 3K for week 1. This is obviously kind of meaningless, but we have fun. And sometimes it works, man. My best lineups had a $2,500 Miami defense last week, or however much they cost.
Yeah, Miami worked. The Giants worked. The Bears worked.
Yeah, it can work.
Oh,
and I hate paying a premium for defense.
Honestly, I Detroit. I know everyone wants to stack that game, but Carson Wentz makes 3, potential pick sixes in every game.
Yeah. And some real sketchy ball
Security.
Thank you. I'll go Pittsburgh against New England. I think that's perfectly reasonable too. If nothing else, New England only scores 7 points or something, and we're in business. But all right, that'll do it for us. Appreciate you guys. We got 400 live still to close this out. If you're listening after the fact in podcast form, subscribe, leave us a rating or review. It helps us greatly. Hit that thumbs up before you head out on YouTube. Subscribe. Thank you guys. JazzRaz DFS on Twitter, Laffy_D, LOUGHY_D. Remember, BetMGM, $10 in the 200. Toss that link in one more time. It's in the description. Bet on any game, any team to win. Take advantage of free money. And we'll catch you back here tomorrow. First Look Ownership Show, fellas. Peace.